Political heat rises in Rajasthan. BJP attacks CM Ashok Gehlot over his remarks related to the governor. CM with supporting MLAs meets governor to seek the convening of a special assembly session. Rajasthan High Court directs Speaker to maintain status quo. Supreme Court to hear the plea on Monday. 17th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs held, reviewed the situation on the borders and the ongoing disengagement process along the LAC. Complete restoration of peace and tranquility was deemed to be essential for overall development of bilateral relations. RBI releases the Financial Stability Report 2020. Governor Shaktikant Das says country's financial system is sound. Emphasis lenders should not be extremely risk-averse. Stresses the need for financial intermediaries to proactively augment capital and improve their resilience. India achieves a record number of more than 4.20 lakh COVID-19 tests in a single day. Centre advises all states to keep up its proven and successful strategy of aggressive testing, tracking and treatment in the national capital. India extends humanitarian assistance to the people of North Korea under the aegis of an ongoing WHO's anti-tuberculosis program, sends $1 million worth medicines to treat the disease in the country. The flood situation in Assam and Bihar still remains grim. Several rivers flowing above the danger mark. NDRF teams deployed in rescue and relief work. President Ramnath Kovind flags off trucks carrying relief material from Rashtrapati Bhavan for the affected regions in UP, Bihar and Assam. Well, good morning. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Let's start with our top story. Political heat has further risen in Rajasthan. Bharatiya Janata Party attacked Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot over his remarks related to the governor. The party has raised the objection over the Gehlot using undignified language and termed it undemocratic.
मुझे लगता है कि ये लोकतंत्र की बार-बार दुहाई देने वाले, अपने आप को गांधीवादी कहने वाले लोग व्यक्ति को इस बात के ऐसा कहना शोभा नहीं देता। किसी भी संवैधानिक पद की अपनी मर्यादा है, उस मर्यादा को बनाए रखते हुए आचरण करने की जिम्मेदारी हम सब की है।
राजस्थान के मुख्यमंत्री ने जिस भाषा का इस्तेमाल किया और जो शब्द इस्तेमाल किए, वो किसी प्रदेश का मुख्यमंत्री या गृह मंत्री नहीं कर सकता। मर्यादा नैतिकता के नाम पर भी और कानूनन भी।
Earlier, the Rajasthan High Court directed the Speaker of Rajasthan Assembly to maintain status quo on the disqualification notices sent to 19 rebel MLAs, including Sachin Pilot. With this, the High Court also clarified that the matter of disqualification power of the Speaker is not under the jurisdiction of the court. The court has not given any date for further hearing. On the other hand, the case will be heard in the Supreme Court on Monday. The apex court will decide whether the Speaker can take action against the rebel MLAs of Congress party. It is worth noting that the Speaker had issued a notice to these MLAs on 14 July after the Congress party filed a complaint. The Congress accused these MLAs of violating the whips, while the Pilot camp argued that the party whip only applies when the assembly session is in progress. So after the court's decision, Ashok Gehlot reached the Raj Bhavan with Congress MLAs and urged the Governor Kalraj Mishra to call assembly session. While the Gehlot government is claiming majority, BJP says they have lost the ground. The power tussle in Rajasthan will continue for some time now. The Governor has not yet taken the decision to call assembly session as demanded by the Congress. Right, to give us more information on this, our correspondent Dharmesh Bharti is joining us live from Jaipur. Dharmesh, very good morning. And in a relief to the Sachin Palan camp, we can say the Rajasthan High Court yesterday ordered for maintaining status quo on the disqualification issued by the Assembly Speaker against the 19 MLAs. But my question to you is, the focus will now be on the Rajasthan Governor and his decision to call on the Assembly session.
You are absolutely correct. Following the day-long drama by the ruling Congress over the delay in the convening of the State Assembly session, Friday night, Rajasthan Governor Kalraj Mishra issued the statement saying that no one is above the constitutional ethos and there should not be any pressure politics of any kind. Apart from that, the letter written by the state government to the governor, governor has posed few queries. The first query is on which date the assembly session should be convened, which was not mentioned in the letter. Governor wants to know when there is a wide rapid spread of corona in the state, how the assembly session can be called. And usually when assembly session is called, a 21-day notice is mandatory to call the session. And if an early session is being called, then there has to be a reason behind it. So no justification or agenda has been proposed in that letter. Apart from that, governor has also instructed the state government for the freedom and free movement of the MLAs. And governor has also asked the matter of disqualification of some of the MLAs is under consideration by the High Court and Supreme Court. For that, the state government has to take cognizance, and every action by the state government has to be taken in accordance with the constitutional decorum and laid down procedures and laws. Apart from that, governor has also raised one very important question. If the state government is enjoying the majority, what is the justification for convening the session? Yes.
Absolutely, you're right. Justification. What is the justification on convening the session? And you are saying that you need at least 20 days of notice to conduct the assembly session. But Dharmesh, to show strength of 100 MLAs, CM Ashok Gehlot drove to Governor's house yesterday along with the MLAs. But and Gehlot is insisting, like you said, to have the floor session. But what options you think now Sachin Palan camp have now?
The whole case is still with the Supreme Court, and I think they are waiting for the Supreme Court order. Once the Supreme Court order clears everything, I think after that the Sachin Palan camp will draw any strategy.
Absolutely, it will be interesting to see what happens next now. But Dharmesh, how do the numbers stack up now? Ashok Gehlot camp is saying that they have the strength of over 100 MLAs. 19 MLAs are with Sachin Palan camp, and if disqualification happens, then the entire scenario of permutation and combinations will change. What do you think? How do the numbers stack up in the Rajasthan Assembly now?
I would like to make one thing very clear. The matter of disqualification does not arise. The reason is the Sachin Palan camp is still saying they are still with the Congress. They have not left the Congress. So in their statement or in their claim, they are saying that they are against Ashok Gehlot. They are not against the Congress. So the matter of disqualification does not arise at the moment. However, I think they are still waiting for the Supreme Court order, and after the Supreme Court order, they will have their own plan and they will have their own strategy.
Absolutely, they are waiting for the Supreme Court order that will be on Monday, likely to be on. Thank you, Dharmesh. Thank you so much for your time. Moving on to our next story, the 17th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs was held on Friday. The Indian delegation was led by Joint Secretary East Asia from the Ministry of External Affairs, while the Director General of the Boundary and Oceanic Departments of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs led the Chinese delegation. The two sides reviewed the situation in India-China border areas and the ongoing disengagement process along the line of actual control in the western sector. They agreed that early and complete disengagement of the troops along the line of actual control and de-escalation from India-China border areas in accordance with bilateral agreement and protocols and full restoration of peace and tranquility was essential for smooth overall development of the bilateral relations. The two sides noted that this was in accordance with the agreement reached between the two special representatives during their telephonic conversation on 5th July 2020. They agreed in this regard that it was necessary for both sides to sincerely implement the understandings reached between senior commanders in their meetings. Till date, the two sides agreed that another meeting of the senior commanders may be held soon as to work out further steps to ensure expeditiously complete disengagement and de-escalation and restoration of peace and tranquility in the border areas. Well, next story now. The Reserve Bank of India has released its financial stability report, warning that the gross NPA, which is non-performing asset ratio of all scheduled commercial banks, may increase from 8.5% in March 2020 to 12.5% by March 2021. The RBI also said that if the macroeconomic environment worsens further, the GNPA ratio may escalate to 14.7% under very severe stress scenario. The assessment done on basis of comparative scenario, if macroeconomic environment worsens, GNPA ratio may escalate to 14.7% under very severe stress. Strength of country's banks was tested over macroeconomic aftershocks. Tests done through severely pressured scenario. Impact of shocks or pressures on banks were assessed, and in addition, gross NPA and CRAR, capital adequacy ratio, also being assessed. Assessment done under three comparative scenario: moderate, severe and very severe. Comparative scenario estimated based on GDP growth, gross fiscal deficit as ratio of GDP, and estimated values of other macroeconomic variables. The centre has advised 9 states with high active caseload to ramp up testing with special focus on containment zones and ensure effective clinical management of COVID-19 cases. The high-level meeting was chaired by Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba with the Chief Secretaries and Health Secretaries of the Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal and Assam. The meeting was held as part of the coordinated strategy for effective containment and management of the COVID-19 pandemic. In keeping with the test, track, treat strategy, the states were advised to ramp up testing with special focus on containment zones. The states were also advised to have a clear focus on health infrastructure, including requisite number of beds, oxygen and ventilators, with the implementation of clinical protocols ensuring the prescribed quality of care and seamless patient management. Moving on, coordinated measures taken by the Union and State Union Territories governments have ensured effective overall management of the COVID-19 pandemic. The clinical management of COVID-19 cases through a well-executed standard of care protocol has ensured high rate of recovery among the COVID patients. The trend of highest ever single-day recoveries of COVID-19 patients continues unabated. For the third day in a row on Friday, the last 24 hours have recorded another high with 34,602 patients recovering. This has significantly bolstered the total number of recovered patients to cross 8 lakh and currently stands at 8,17,208. This has strongly boosted the recovery rate to reach a new high of 63.45% among COVID-19 patients. As a result of these constantly growing number of recoveries, the recovered patients outnumber the active cases by 3,77,073. This difference is showing a progressively growing upward trend. There are 4,40,135 active cases in the country, and with the dedicated efforts of healthcare workers, the case fatality is continuously falling too, which currently stands at 2.38% overall. And India has achieved a record number of more than 4,20,000 COVID-19 tests in a single day. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare informed that record number has come on the heels of 3,50,000 tests is being done every day continuously over the period of last 1 week. Meanwhile, Union government has advised all states to keep up the strategy of aggressive testing, tracking and treatment, which may lead to higher number of daily positive cases but would eventually achieve a decline, as has been demonstrated after Union government's efforts in Delhi. Well, to give us updates on this, our correspondent Nitendra Singh is joining us live. Nitendra, very good morning to you. 4.2 lakh tests per day. It's a big number, and over 3 lakh tests being done every day, and the recovery rate is also rising.
गुड मॉर्निंग। निश्चित तौर पे ये बहुत ही बड़ी खबर है कि पिछले 24 घंटे में 4,20,000 सैंपल की टेस्ट की गई, और ओवर द पीरियड अगर पिछले एक वीक से देखा जाए, 1 वीक से करीब करीब 3 लाख से ज्यादा टेस्टिंग होता है सैंपल्स का। और ये इसलिए भी जरूरी है क्योंकि भारत ने अपनी टेस्टिंग कैपेसिटी को बढ़ाया है। तकरीबन 1300 टेस्टिंग लैब है पूरे अक्रॉस इंडिया में जहां पर टेस्टिंग हो रहा है, और आने वाले दिनों में करीब एक दिन में 10 लाख 1 मिलियन टेस्टिंग की कैपेसिटी बढ़ाने की बात हो रही है इंडिया में। तो इससे ये फायदा होगा कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को समय पर टेस्ट होगा, तो उनकी बीमारी की पहचान होगी कोरोना की, और उनको समय पर ट्रीटमेंट मिलेगा जिससे वो जल्दी ठीक होंगे। जैसा कि देखा गया कि दिल्ली के अंदर पहले काफी केसेस आते थे, लेकिन आज पिछले अगर एक हफ्ते से देखा जाए तो मामलों में तकरीबन वो 1200-1300 पॉजिटिव केस देखे जा रहे हैं, और डेथ भी कम हुआ है। इससे ये बताया जा रहा है, जो डॉक्टर्स हैं या विशेषज्ञ हैं ये कह रहे हैं कि जो डिक्लाइन हो रहा है दिल्ली के अंदर जो केस है वो एकदम पीक पर चला गया है, पीक से फिर नीचे की ओर आ रहा है। और इसी तरह से अगर पूरे देश भर में अगर टेस्टिंग कैपेसिटी को बढ़ाया जाएगा तो निश्चित तौर पे केसेस में कमी देखने को मिलेगी। शुरुआत में तो ये जरूर देखने को मिलेगा कि एक साथ तकरीबन 40,000 50,000 पर डे केस आ रहा है, लेकिन आने वाले दिनों में केस में कमी देखने को मिलेगी। और निश्चित तौर पे जो मॉर्टिलिटी रेट है वो भी काफी कम है, 2.38% है, और डिक्लाइन कर रहा है धीरे धीरे। इसका मतलब यह है कि जो केंद्र सरकार के, राज्य सरकार के जो एफर्ट्स हैं ट्रीटमेंट को लेकर के, कंटेनमेंट जोन को लेकर के, उसका रिजल्ट देखने को मिल रहा है। तो ये निश्चित तौर पे एक अच्छी खबर है। भारत अपनी कैपेसिटी को धीरे धीरे बढ़ा रहा है।
Right, absolutely, Nitendra. Not only the recovery rate is rising, the active cases are also declining, and you also mentioned about the mortality rate, which is a very, very good sign. And also, Nitendra, like you mentioned, that PM hailed the Delhi model and requested all the states to follow the Delhi model, which is aggressive testing, tracking, and the treatment.
निश्चित तौर पे जो ये रणनीति है केंद्र सरकार की कि टेस्ट, ट्रेस और ट्रीटमेंट, यही ये तीन जो टी फॉर्मूला है जो कोरोना को हराने में कामयाबी इसी से मिलेगी। और कल कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी ने एक रिव्यू मीटिंग लिया है जहां पे 9 राज्य जो सबसे ज्यादा केस जहां पर है उनको रिव्यू, उनके साथ मीटिंग लिया है, और उसके बाद उन्होंने निर्देश दिया है कि आप टेस्ट करें, ट्रेस करें, ट्रीटमेंट करें, और जो कंटेनमेंट जोन को बहुत ही इफेक्टिव तरीके से लागू करे। अगर जहां पर केस देखने को मिला उसके कंटेनमेंट जोन को इफेक्टिव तरीके से लागे, और जो उनके आसपास के जो घर है वहां पे घर घर सर्वे करें और उनको टेस्ट करें ताकि बीमारी की पहचान हो सके और उनको फैलने से रोका जा सके। तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी ने कल एक मीटिंग दिया, और तमाम जो राज्य हैं, जो सबसे ज्यादा 9 ही राज्य हैं जहां पर केसेस सबसे ज्यादा देखे जा रहे हैं, तो उन पे खास रणनीति बनाने पर जोर देने की बात हुई है। अगर आप बाकी राज्य भी इस तरह की टेस्टिंग पे ज्यादा जोर देते हैं तो निश्चित तौर पे मामलों में कमी देखने को मिलेगी। और दिल्ली हुआ, अहमदाबाद हुआ, या फिर मुंबई के कुछ हिस्सों में भी डिक्लाइन होने लगा है, पीक आ चुका है, डिक्लाइन होने लगा है केस का। तो एक अच्छी खबर है। और रिकवरी रेट हम जानते हैं जैसे कि करीब करीब 64% हो चुका है, और ये कमिंग आने वाले दिनों में धीरे धीरे वो बढ़ रहा है। अगर लोग सावधान रहें, जो सार्वजनिक जगह पे जाए मास्क पहने, 2 गज की दूरी का पालन करें, और स्पिटिंग ना करें। सार्वजनिक जगह पे स्पिटिंग करना भी एक तरह से बीमारी को बढ़ाता है। और इसके अलावा हैंड हाइजीन का ख्याल रखें, तो निश्चित तौर पे इस बीमारी से जल्द हम लोग लड़ने में कामयाब होंगे और छुटकारा भी मिलेगा।
Absolutely, like you mentioned, recovery rate has risen to almost 64%, which is a very, very good sign. But Nitendra also mentioning that we cannot let off guard. We need to maintain the social distancing, the norms of social distancing, and keep washing our hands and follow the government guidelines. We'll leave it there, Nitendra. Thank you so much for your time. Moving on, Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that India has extended medical assistance worth about $1 million to North Korea in response to a request received from the World Health Organization. The MEA further said that India is sensitive to the shortage of medical supply situation in North Korea and decided to grant humanitarian assistance of $1 million in the form of anti-tuberculosis medicines. The assistance is under aegis of an ongoing World Health Organization's anti-tuberculosis program in DPRK. And now news from flood-affected Assam. Normal life has been disrupted in large parts of the northeastern state due to severe flooding. The number of deaths due to flood-related incidents have climbed to 96, with three more, deaths in Barpeta, Kokrajhar and Morigaon districts of Assam. Over 27 lakh people have been affected in the third wave of flood. Out of the 33 districts of Assam, 26 districts remain affected by flood waters, while Golpara still remains the worst hit district with over 4.7 lakh people affected. According to the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, in the last 24 hours, 1,350 flood-affected people have been evacuated. 50,136 inmates are taking shelter in the 301 relief camps. A total of 2,543 villages under 72 revenue circles are flooded, while 1,22,573 hectares of cropland are under flood water. The Brahmaputra, Dhansiri, Jiabhrali, Kopili and Beki rivers are flowing above the danger level in several districts. President Ramnath Kovind spoke to Chief Minister of Assam over phone and took stock of the flood and overall situation of the state. Right, to give us more updates on this, our correspondent Mridu Smita is joining us live from Guwahati. Good morning, Mridu. Mridu, normal life has been disrupted in large parts of the northeastern states due to severe flooding. What is the current situation now in Assam?
Yes, in the last few days, there has been incessant rain here in Assam, especially the district that you have already mentioned. Because of the rain, there has been increase in the flood. However, in the last 24 hours, there has been a little gap of the continuous rain that was happening since the last few days, and because of which there is a little bit of improvement that is happening in various districts, and inmates from the relief camps are going back to their houses, and in fact, the various relief materials that were given to the flood-affected people are also being at times they get disrupted because they might not be reached due to the flood. However, because there is a little bit of improvement of rain, because it has stopped a bit, the materials could also be given to them, and in the medical requirements during this time are also being provided, and the medical teams, they are reaching the flood-affected people, and they are giving their treatment, and even after the flood, if there is a little bit of improvement, there are various kind of situations that they happen, and that they might have various ailments like malaria and dengue, and such kind of things arises after the flood water reduces. And for that reason as well, the NDRF people and the administrations are also trying to reach so that they can send various bleaching powders and all, so that the hygiene is maintained and people don't get infected with other diseases in this time of pandemic, where already the coronavirus thing is already there, and they have to remain they have to maintain calm. And since there is improvement, however, the Met Department has already said that from 26 to 29 there will be again heavy rainfall in various parts of the northeast region.
We get your point,
Assam.
and you're saying that the situation has improved in the last 24 hours. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for giving us the latest updates. Due to continuous rainfall in many districts of Bihar, flood situation is grim in the state. Many rivers, including Kosi, are flowing above the danger mark. In many districts, rivers have breached the embankment and flood waters have entered into villages. In West Champaran, the river Sikrahana breached the embankment in Majholia block. As a result, many villages got flooded. The water level of river Gandak is increasing continuously. Due to floods in Kosi, a school building at Bipur block of Navgachia subdivision fell down and submerged in the water. Rescue and relief operation is underway in Samastipur. In Gopalganj, another bridge was carried away by flood waters. In Saran, the river breached the embankment, causing the threat of flood in adjoining areas. The river Gandak has breached embankment on both sides in Gopalganj and Champaran. Well, that's all we have in this news bulletin. Stay tuned for more news and updates. Namaskar.